So it's the 2022 holiday season, and you're confused a little bit on what to get for the gamer in your life. Well, don't fret, I'm going to have some good suggestions for you, and make sure to stay till the end for a special giveaway that we're doing to help you get something for that gamer in your life, here on Game On. Hi everybody, my name is Justin and welcome to Game On, a show all about tabletop gaming, from RPGs to board games and everything in between. When this video comes out, it'll be the Sunday before Thanksgiving in North America, the United States. That means that we'll have Black Friday, Small Business Saturday, and Cyber Monday coming up in a couple of days after this video releases, and it's a lot of crunch time for a lot of people who are looking to buy gifts for the holiday season. And we as gamers have a lot of different things that we like, and people can be a little bit confused about what we want or what we might need as tabletop gamers. So this is more of a helpful guide for people who are outside of the hobby, who are looking for something to get for their gamer in their life. So let's go on to board games. Okay, so the very first of the board games I have picked out today, and you can see here on the screen, is Mysterium. Mysterium is one of those fun little board games where it says ages 10 and up. It's great for people who like more of a party game. It's the general idea of it is one of the players has to be a ghost, and the rest of the players are investigators trying to figure out how that ghost passed into their next life. It's really fun, and as always, I'm going to have links in the description to all of these in case you want to directly buy it from this particular website. However, I always suggest, if you can, go to your favorite local game store and support them, but I'm just giving you Amazon because I feel like everyone has access to Amazon. So Mysterium is a great board game for people who are looking to get into something a little bit different from Monopoly and Sorry and all that. So Mysterium is definitely number one on my list. I also have Pandemic. Pandemic is a really fun board game. It's a cooperative board game where you're basically trying to save the world from a pandemic that breaks out, and the idea is to go around different cities and kind of wipe clean all of the yuckiness that is viruses and bacteria. And it's fun because it's actually relatively simple, and really the hardest thing about it is you can make it harder on yourself, make it much harder to win the game. And again, it's cooperative, you're all trying to win together. This is what I call a gateway game. I think this is a good game specifically designed to get people into the play space of board games that aren't just the standard ones that you see at Toys R Us and stuff. Not that Toys R Us is around anymore. And finally, for the third game, I have King of Tokyo. King of Tokyo is a fun game. It doesn't take that long to play. The whole idea of the game is basically you play these giant kaiju monsters, not technically Godzilla and not technically King Kong, and you roll dice and you basically try to punch and beat your way into Tokyo and destroy Tokyo yourself. It's a fun game. So those are the three board games I have, but let's go on to anybody in your life who might be an RPG player. So my first suggestion for RPG players, this is a twofer. This is basically two suggestions in one. Is if they like Dungeons and Dragons and they're already playing it. They're already playing 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons. And feel free to ask them what edition they're playing, because they'll gladly tell you. If they have already bought the core rulebook, they already have played a couple of games, then this is a really good gift set for them. It's kind of expensive. You do get 3 books. You get 3 of the updated rules books to help build a different kind of character, a little bit more updated and sometimes stronger character, as well as a DM screen. However, if there is somebody in your life who has never played, or has played but they don't own the books or anything like that, then we have the Dungeons & Dragons core rulebook gift set. And this one's a little bit less expensive. It has the monster manual, the Dungeon Master's Guide and the Player's Handbook. So it basically has everything in it to get you off the ground and running to run a game if you've never played, or you have played but you don't own any of the books. This is a great deal on 3 books that normally cost like $50 each, so this is a really good deal. Okay, so let's say that you have somebody in your life that doesn't want to play Dungeons & Dragons, but they want to play something similar, something a little bit simpler, dare I say. Dungeon World is probably one of my favorite RPGs out there because it's a game where everybody builds the lore together. It is, to the outside looking in, it is similar to Dungeons & Dragons, but it is not Dungeons & Dragons in the sense where the amount of dice that you need is not crazy, and the amount of money that you need to pour into the game to basically stay competitive in the game is very little. All that you need is literally this one book, and you can be a player and a dungeon master. It takes place in a fantasy setting, but it kind of shakes off some of the Dungeons & Dragons tropes that we know of so well. So let's go on to my third suggestion, and that is Monster of the Week. This is a fun RPG where you play as monster hunters. And people who watch like Buffy the Vampire Slayer and even a little bit of X-Files and Angel, or any of those TV shows where people are trying to investigate monsters, even Stranger Things to an extent. Monster of the Week is basically one of the best RPGs for that. It's simple. All you need is this one book. It's relatively inexpensive. So if there's somebody out there in your life that is a gamer who wants to do something other than Dungeons & Dragons, Monster of the Week is also a great idea. Now let's go on to tabletop wargaming. There are literally dozens of tabletop wargames out there, and I totally understand if you're an outsider looking in and you don't understand the difference between Warhammer and War Machine, or Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40k and Warhammer Age of Sigmar. I understand. Plus, even if you did know what they were playing, if they were playing, Malifaux, knowing what army they play also makes it a little bit more difficult, unless they, specifically tell you and write it down. So these suggestions are just general overall suggestions you can give anybody who likes to play tabletop war games such as that. 25mm plastic bases. Always nice to have. I have a whole bunch of these. These work well with my D&D characters as well. I love these guys. Not every game uses 25mm now. Some of them are bumping up to 32mm for the standard small unit bases. But it's really not gonna break your bank if you get one of both, or if you just get either or. Us gamers will make it work. So even if you got the slightly wrong or slightly smaller, slightly bigger size, I promise you we'll be grateful for bases. We could always use more bases. So what we could always use more of as well as paint. Now, miniature paint is not really the kind of paint that you would go to Joann's Fabrics or Michael's and go to the hobby center and get their paint. A lot of that is lacquer based, not all of it. Some of it is also water based like this, but having a specific miniature paint is very, very helpful. I personally use something called Vallejo paint. I know a lot of people use Army Painter. There's another one called Citadel paint. I will promise to have these links in the description. Even if somebody has a good chunk of these paints, they will be happy that they have more of it because we always need more paint, because we could always just use more things to paint with. And speaking of paint, how about putting that paint on our minis? These are brushes. Different kinds of brushes than what you're used to. They're not the big broad acrylic canvas brushes. These are brushes designed to get into the little nooks and crannies of the miniatures, because we're talking tiny things that we're trying to paint eyeballs on. So having things where I personally have this set, I love it, where we have little fine pointed brushes where we can paint feathers on somebody's boots. Very, very helpful. Again, very inexpensive to get these kinds of things for us, and we would love them. We could always use more brushes as gamers. Now we're going to go on to card games. I'm not a big card game player. I had to do a little bit more research on this, but I think I found 3 really good things that can help you out. So for card games, this Pokemon Sword and Shield Silver Tempest just recently came out. It's like the newest set. So this will be for people who are looking to not only collect their cards, their Pokemon cards, but also be competitive when they're playing in Pokemon card leagues, when they go to, you know, your favorite local game store and they play in tournaments. This will help keep them up to date on what cards they can have, as well as grab some really cool mini things to just collect for themselves. They might not necessarily need it in their deck, but they'll be happy to have it. Speaking of which, the next one, this one's a little expensive, but it's not that big of a deal. It's not that bad. Magic the Gathering, the Brothers War is the newest Magic the Gathering set. At least from what I understand. I had to ask some people. And this is another set that you can buy a Magic the Gathering player who will help keep them updated in the modern rules setting, so they can play this and be more powerful with their characters or their decks when they build a competitive deck. Most Magic players I know are players. They play in tournaments. They don't just collect them. But from what I understand, there's some pretty cool artwork in here for people who are just collecting. So there'll be some rare stuff in here that they can maybe... oh, there's a Transformers card. Maybe some stuff in here that somebody would just like to collect and have in like their little fancy card case. And finally for cards, we're going to go with the Yu-Gi-Oh! Battle of Legend Crystal Revenge boxes. You don't have to get this from Amazon. This is the only one I could find on Amazon. And you don't have to get a huge box like this. You can just get like little card packs for your gamer in your life. But this will also keep them up to date because this is the newest Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card box set that has come out, from what I understand. Again, I had to ask some people about this, and they have told me that this will help keep players competitive in their tournaments, as well as there's some pretty cool stuff in there just to collect. And remember, with games like this, sometimes you can pull a card that's worth a lot of money and then they can sell it back to a store. So even if the players don't really want to use them, there might be something in there that's, you know, pretty rare, and it helps them, I don't know, get some money and also have a nice deck. So before we go, I do want to say this. There are companies like Amazon where it makes it really easy to buy. But if you have the ability to go to your local game store, I'm not necessarily talking like a chain like GameStop or something. I'm talking like a true card game and board game store. There's a lot more of them around than you might think. If you can support them on like a small business Saturday, that would be great. But I also understand that it might be hard to get out there. And because of that, our channel, Game On, is going to be giving away 2 $50 Amazon gift cards, virtual gift cards, for you to help buy stuff for the gamer in your life. We're always trying to keep gaming going. So to do that, all that we need you to do is hit the like button and to leave a comment on whether or not what you want for, you know, the holiday season, what you're thinking about getting, anybody with a better idea on what to get somebody, so people in the comments can help each other out. So I will pick those 2 at random. We'll do a video where I pick those 2 at random. So I'll give you 2 electronic gift cards for Amazon that will be going out there. They'll be $50 each to help you buy anything like this for the gamer in your life. Again, hit the like button and then just leave a comment telling us what you're looking for, what you might want, where you're confused. I hope this really helped you all. Again, my name is Justin. I thank you all from the bottom of my heart for watching. Now, I hope you can grab some dice, grab a pencil, and game on.